6 charged for multi-million-dollar fraud at the JPF. Victims preparing to sue scamming Yuri. And how banks in Guyana are keeping you broke. I am Noriko Bulford and welcome to tonight's edition of Uncut News. Before we begin, do you have something important you want to leak without revealing your identity? Send us a tip on WhatsApp at telephone number 592-659-6151. Yesterday, Soku brought charges against 6 former and current police officers in relation to a multi-million-dollar fraud investigation within the police force. Retired Assistant Commissioners of Police Paul Slow, Clifton Conway, and Ivelaw Whitaker, along with former Senior Superintendents Mark Gilbert, George Fraser, and Michael Sutton, were charged with defrauding the GPF of over $10 million. According to the courts, the $10 million Ghana dollars was payment for revising the entire police force's standing orders in 2019. But to date, the old men have failed to perform. Worse yet, the GPF stated that the entire 104 standing orders were already revised earlier that same year, yet they were paid to do the same revision. Slow and Washington were not present to face the charges. The other men were released on $100,000 bail each. They will be back in court on June 3rd. However, Paul Slow's legal woes don't end there. In addition to the fraud charge, he has also been accused of inappropriately touching a female assistant superintendent on 3 different occasions in 2019. According to Starbrook News, Slow will be charged with 3 counts of sexual assault. These alleged sexual assaults were reported to an assistant commissioner who failed to take proper action, according to the GPF. He allegedly told the female assistant superintendent, quote, "Is I have to promote you," end quote. Slow has actually been out of their jurisdiction since the investigation began. I wonder why. Scamming Yuri is about to get sued by some of his victims. Recently, he accused 35 persons of embezzling hundreds of millions from his Ponzi scheme in the form of withheld commissions, millions that were supposed to go to his victims. But as it turned out, each person provided the police with documents that point the blame right back at Dominguez. The victims claim that they have sought legal representation since he has now made them the target of dozens of angry victims. Victims who have actually been assembling in front of their homes demanding their money. 18-year-old John Cameron pleaded guilty to stealing a cell phone from Darren Lord on Wednesday. According to the charge on April 17th, he reached into an open window and stole the phone from Darren's Canter truck as it was parked in front of Darren's home. Cameron apologized to the victim in court, and he confessed to the police that he stole the phone and immediately sold it because he was broke, a complete nobody, and could not find a job. He was sentenced to 5 months in prison. But it's a shame. If only someone could have given this young man a chance, maybe he wouldn't have gone down that route. Now it's time to tell you about Best Buy's car of the day. Currently on sale is this 2009 Toyota Axio. It comes with mag rims, new tires, DVD, stereo, reverse camera, and much, much more. Buy cash for $2.7 million, or paid down as low as $540,000 down with around $61,000 monthly for 4 years, and it's yours. Call or WhatsApp 662-0844 for more info, or visit their showrooms at Lot 171 Peter Road Street, Queenstown, or Lot 2 Lamar Street, and tell them Noriko sent you for this sweet deal. Yesterday, 3 men carjacked a taxi driver of this silver Toyota 212 in Festival City in North Rumveldt. According to the police, the passenger set him up for the broad daylight robbery. When the driver reached Festival City, the passenger told the driver to pull up to 2 men who immediately drew a gun on him and robbed the driver of his valuables before the passenger drove off with his car with the 2 men, but without the driver. On Wednesday, police in Berbice seized several vehicles in connection with a stolen vehicle racket. They found stolen vehicles in 2 different places in Berbice. In total, 4 vehicles were recovered. Meanwhile, the cops say they also searched a home in Rose Hall where they found several, quote, car-related documents, whatever that means. They also searched an old man's house where they arrested one random unnamed person. They didn't explain why, but for some reason he's presently in the hospital under police guard. I'm not saying that they beat him, but it sounds like they beat him. Yesterday, 2 pastors from Trinidad were robbed of their earthly valuables on Sheriff Street. The reports state that the pastors were robbed on their way to the grocery store by 2 armed men on motorcycle. The male pastor was robbed of his wallet while they stole the phone and the contents of the woman's handbag. While the two ran off with the people's valuables, they did leave them with one thing: terrible memories of their trip to Guyana. Do you want to grow your money? Sell Digicel Top-Up. Become a top-up vendor through Cellular Plus and make some extra cash to supplement your income at your business or your side hustle. Call 685-3109 for more info. It's now time for today's Rona Report. Today, the nation recorded 139 new cases. There are now 349 persons dead, 19 persons in the ICU, and 1,823 persons in home isolation. The total number of known cases now stands at 15,743. So please, people, wash your hands frequently. Avoid touching your nose and mouth and mask up before you leave the house. When you do leave home, try to avoid enclosed spaces and large crowds, and remember to give 6 meters space between you and others. Now, let's take a look at news in the region and around the world. In a story that could have been a weird news story, a 56-year-old former cop in Trinidad lost his Glock pistol after he got attacked by a swarm of bees on Monday. The legal gun owner was near White Boar's quarry in Sangre Grande when the bees attacked. He fled to his car for safety, only to realize that his gun fell from his waistband, which is actually a very terrible place to holster your firearm, by the way. The man told police he waited for a couple hours before searching the area, but he was unsuccessful. So, there is yet another stolen gun on the streets of Trinidad, all thanks to a bee attack, and, of course, irresponsible gun ownership. Are you a truck owner that is losing money due to downtime while you wait for your parts to be imported? Now that's just stupid. Truck parts are already in Guyana at Powered Automotive Truck Spares and Engine Parts. They stock spares for DAF, Bedford TM, International Freightliners, and Cummins engines. Check them out at 1161 EE Eccles or WhatsApp them at telephone number 6970171. Tell them Rico sent you and get a discount. And in international news, the Israeli government has agreed to a ceasefire with Hamas. This comes after 11 straight days of violence between the Israeli military and Hamas, and also a growing international pressure for an end to the senseless violence. As of this morning, Israeli airstrikes killed at least 250 people, including 65 children and 39 women in the Gaza Strip. About 1,900 others have been wounded, while Hamas rocket attacks reportedly killed 12 people, including one child, and injured 348 on the Israeli side. The Israeli Defense Forces said on Thursday that rocket attacks from the Gaza Strip has already ceased, but the IDF basically said they ain't done killing yet, so they are going to continue bombing them for a couple more hours, claiming that the asymmetrical violence will deter Hamas from future attacks. Although if violence didn't work before to convince either side that either side was correct, why would violence work now? Anyway, and now for our stupid news of the day. Recently, Republic Bank Guyana confirmed that its customers were once again the victims of a series of fraudulent purchases, with one customer claiming to have had over $200,000 taken out of his account. While the bank claims that it will reimburse its customers, there is no word on how long that will take, nor was there any further explanation as to why this keeps happening and what exact measures will be put into place to prevent this. Unfortunately, scammers are not the only ones who are dipping into your bank account. The banks themselves charge you a fee to take out your money. Then they charge you a fee to hold your money. And even though people can electronically steal your money, it's a headache to even try to wire people money consensually. There have been attempts to make electronic money apps, but those fail due to a lack of support from the banks. So if you want to access your money, you have to first take time off of work, costing you money, take a cab, car, or bus to the bank, which costs you money. Then you gotta spend like an hour in line. So if time is money, then again, this costs you money. Money that could have been better spent or even saved elsewhere. So if you ask me, making it difficult for persons to access their money, especially when we live in the age of Cash App and Venmo, is pretty stupid. Hey Guyanese business people, are you looking for a great way to advertise your business? Search no more. Join one of the fastest growing business directories in Guyana. Register your business on snap.gy and get access to more eyeballs. And wait for the best part, it's absolutely free. Get your business listed today on snap.gy. Moving on to our Uncut News viewers poll question of the day. Every day we pose a question about current events in the nation, the region, the diaspora, and how you feel it relates to us. So, you give your responses in the comments, and we'll read the best ones in the following episode. Yesterday's question was, would you support the proposed anti-litter legislation, or would you consider a different way to deal with garbage in the Garden City? J.C. Grant Stewart said, first, the government needs to put garbage bins on each corner and streets in the city. I personally walked around for hours with garbage in my hand before I could find a bin to throw it in Georgetown. It's embarrassing. Then we can talk about hiking up the fines. That's a very good point. You have a good point. They need to put trash cans in more places. Rondell Kelman said, I definitely support the mayor on that. There's too much garbage disposal services going around for people to be disposing of their waste in that way. We won't have our houses and yards like that. Why should we have our country like that? Also a good point. And Ron Glasgow said, yes, penalties should be dealt out to litterbugs. However, the government might be better off working with and rewarding NGOs in communities that actively make an effort to keep the environment clean and educate residents on maintaining cleanliness. For example, seawalls and beyond. Now that, Ron, is a very solid point, and I agree. Seawalls and Beyond has actually been doing a great job. I hope they keep it up. And finally, an honorable mention of the comment from Grant. We're out of time today, but if you want to read it, you already know what to do. So for tonight's question, should the Ministry of Health offer incentives to encourage people to take the Rona vaccine? Why or why not? Think about that question and tell us in the comments below. If your response is good enough, we just might feature it in Friday's episode. Anyway, that's all the time we have for tonight. Check us out tomorrow for another. Until then, I'm Enrico Bullford saying good night, folks. Hey, Uncut News viewers, thanks for watching. You can subscribe by clicking on this button over here, or click over there for more news. You can also drop a comment to let me know if you've made it to the end of the video. Goodbye for now.